In the final months of 1941, frozen, but still advancing German army is faced with a unique, yet unknown weapon. A weapon that will leave a huge mark in both history of World War II and after. The Pistolet Pulemyot Spagina. Named after its designer Georgy Spagin, this submachine gun has so many recognizable features. Some of the key attributes were responsible for its success. It has several nicknames such as Burp Gun, Daddy Gun, or simply Papasha. Papasha is a powerful SMG produced in the Soviet Union from 1941 until 1947. Made in 1941 after series of tests and improvements of former PPD-40, this weapon, known for its simple and quite unconventional design, quickly earned the status of a symbol. This SMG represents nothing more but a brutal Soviet victory over Nazism. Even today, Papasha can be seen on most of the post-war monuments throughout the world. Made mostly of stamped steel and wood, PPSh has several magazine variants. One of them, the most iconic, was a 71-round drum magazine version. This cramming of bullets was a pure consequence of the Winter War phenomenon that shook the Soviets. Although vastly smaller, yet better organized, the Finnish army had a key advantage in the urban warfare. Instead of exposing more men, which Finns couldn't afford, the Finnish army is relying on a weapon which turned out to be very successful. It is a submachine gun called KP-31. With its massive rate of fire and high controlling level, this SMG changed the course of the conflict. The Finns were using KP-31 both in urban and snowy terrain. After the breakout of World War II, the Soviet government and its Ministry of Defense must prepare for war in no time. Wounds from the Winter War are still fresh, but the Soviets prepare themselves rapidly. They seem to learn a lesson from the previous war, and they turn to firepower. After seeing that PPD-40 is expensive to produce, they empower PPD-34 with a drum magazine, and it becomes practically a predecessor of the PPSh-41. Since PPSh was better and cheaper to produce than PPD-40, the Soviet government quickly found its favorite. No wonder is why every soldier liked the weapon. It was easy to use and had a huge firing power with almost 200 meters of effective range. With rate of fire of almost 1,000 rounds per minute, this SMG stood side by side with an American Tommy gun. Even the Germans were impressed with Spagin's invention, although they had all kinds of state-of-the-art weapons. The production of this weapon escalated quickly. From few hundred in November of 1941 to roughly 3,000 units a day by spring of 1942. By the end of the 1947, 6 million of these were produced. After the World War II, it was used in over 20 conflicts. Korean War, Cambodian conflict, Vietnam War, Yugoslav Civil War and Lebanese conflict are only some of the clashes that were familiar with PPSh. This powerful tool suffered only one defect. Because of the mass production, the magazines of PPSh were often incompatible with different versions of the weapon. This meant that the magazines would fall off or that the weapon would jam. At the latest test of PPSh at the famous Kalashnikov factory, the scientists tried to push this World War II beast to its limits. The conclusion was unique. This SMG can be stopped after firing 892 rounds in a row. This will happen because of the accumulation of gunpowder and dust particles that will literally block the weapon. And this is how Papasha changed the world.